Draymond, I know last night you said that like you still feel very good about the situation. What's your mindset about the team going into the offseason? Do you think some pretty big changes need to be made, or just think a little here and there, and that should be enough to get you back close to where you want to be?
I think the biggest change that needed to be made was we needed someone like Jimmy Butler, and we made that change. So I think the hardest part is done. It's harder to get guys like that through trade, through free agency. It just doesn't come up often. And so I think that part is done and puts us in a much better situation going into this offseason than last year where we're kind of looking for that, you know. And so that being said, we have to get better. You know, and we understand that. You know, we lost in the second round, regardless of what the circumstances were. We lost in the second round, so we need to improve. We've always spoke about there being 82 game players and 16 game players. At some point, for us, we have to take a look at both because, you know. Ideally, you don't want to be from February 8th on scrapping and clawing for every win that you could possibly get. That takes a toll after a while. You know, for us, we've kind of been in playoff mode for the last 3 months. It's not a highly effective way to win a championship. And so I think we all understand that from top to bottom in the organization, and we need to put ourselves in a better position to have a great year, not finish great. That makes sense. I hope that don't come off as like, yeah, we want to finish great, obviously, but the year needs to be indicative of that to allow the finish to be what we want it to be. You know, having to play 3 months of playoff, I think ultimately took its toll, you know, over the course of the last few weeks. So I think that'll be the focus. Feel very confident, very strongly that we can still make another run or two at the ultimate prize, but we definitely have to get better.
How do you view the future of the center spot for this organization, and how much it's going to be, you know, you when it comes down to it, or how much you might need just more reinforcements at this stage of your career?
I am the center of the future. No, I'm just playing.
I mean, you might be right.
No, honestly, listen, Loon has been here for 10 years, and he's been incredible. Was a key cog in us winning the championship in 2022. Trace has grown a lot, you know, over the past 2 years of being the, what, was he the 52nd pick or something like that? 57. And, you know, with the strides that he's made, it's been incredible. What we do at the position, I'm not sure. That's not really my role, but what I will say is I think you always have to be looking to get better. If you're not looking to get better in this league, I missed. If you're not looking to get better in this league, you're either getting better or you're getting worse because everyone else is doing the same. And so I don't know what happens. I think, Mike will take a deep look at all of those things. I know whenever I'm called up on to play the five, I can. I think, there was a big there was kind of a big worry with me playing the five so much this year, and I think I answered those questions. You know, I've been strictly a five since Jimmy's been here until 2 nights ago. You know, so, and I think my body held up great. I feel great. I think I'm coming out of this season as healthy as I've come out of any season, and that was with logging 35 to 37 minutes a night for 3 straight months at the 5 position, fighting for a playoff spot. And so I know I'm cut out for it and can handle it, but like I said, we have to get better, and improving requires you to look at everything. So I'll always be an option for our organization, and if they want to go that direction, I'm always going to be right. I wouldn't turn that down, You know, what if it's like, oh man, you can start at the 5 or you don't start? Well, I'm gonna start at the 5. It is what it is. I think when I look around the league, yeah, guys are big. Joker, Sengun, Zubac, Joel, healthy Joel. Like, yeah, but I don't back down from anyone. And if that's what our organization decide to do, I'll be right here ready to go. And if they decide that want to go one of the 5s on the roster, great. If they want to decide they want to go after someone, great. You know me, I'm always in favor of what's best for this organization. I can always see past myself when it comes to this organization.
Draymond, we know the guarantee that you made at the All-Star break, but then you also said later to Kareth and Monty that you like your chances even more next season. How excited are you to have a full training camp with Jimmy, a full season with Jimmy, and how much did you learn in these 3 months about the core of you, Steph, and Jimmy?
I learned that we're capable. You know, we all believe we're capable. Then to get out there and put the product on the floor and actually prove that you are, even more so to ourselves than anyone, we're capable. Training camp will be great for us. It's funny because I was just telling, I was talking to Stack on the bench last night, and we was talking about some things. I'm like, man, like, if this group had training camp together, like, some of the mistakes that we make, we just wouldn't make, especially on the defensive end. Like, we just wouldn't make those mistakes if we had a training camp. And so I think, like I said, I think coming back next year we'll be even in a better position than we were this year. Number one, because you can manage the season better, which helps when you're trying to compete for a championship, especially at the ages we're at. It helps a lot. And so the utmost confidence in it, that we can come back and do what we set out to do. It'll take some possible retooling of the roster. I don't think any roster has stayed the same from year to year in the NBA, and definitely not one that lost in the second round. So I think we got the best organization in the league. Mike Dunleavy has been nothing short of amazing since taking over for arguably one of the greatest GMs in NBA history. Come in and take over an impossible job. Like, how do you follow that success up? And yet, I can tell you, just as someone who's been in the weeds, he's been amazing. Being a GM is oftentimes judged by the roster moves you make, the team you build. The part that people don't show is all the sidebar conversations and having a pulse of the team. Like, Mike has an incredible pulse of this team. He's always in the weeds on the small stuff. A lot like Bob was. No conversation is left unturned. He's not afraid to have the tough conversations. And that's special because a lot of people aren't like that. And so I have the utmost confidence that Mike will do the right things, and the job that he's been doing as just keeping this thing together and moving it forward and helping it grow collectively as an organization, but then also the work that he does with individuals and the conversations that he's walking around having with individuals. He understands that he gets it, which puts us in a really good spot.
Draymond, there could be some stars available this summer. When you and Jimmy and Steph talk about what you guys need, do you think it's another star? Do you think it's improving, on the margins, whether it be more size, more shooting, knowing the landscape today? Because, I remember when last summer you guys went after stars, you said, hey, this might not work at all. We got to be careful. How do you feel about now knowing with you three guys what you might need?
With us three, I think Like I said, I think we've shown that we'll have a good chance. As far as stars go, you ultimately hope that what you have is enough because it's hard to get stars. Like, even if they're available, it's just hard to pull off and not give up something you want to give up or auctioning off the future of your organization. Like, it's tough to get. You see that happen around the league often, and more often than not, it usually don't work. Like, I think it's not worked way more often than it actually has worked. And so you have to be conscious of that. You can't just go after name because the name is like we've won enough to know what winning looks like and what the pieces, how the pieces of the puzzle fit together. And so we'll operate in that manner for as much as I could say being a player and not like really making the decisions. But I've been here for 13 years. I know how this organization works. Joe won't make a desperate move. Or Joe won't allow a desperate move to make, and Mike's not a desperate guy. It's just not something we do. And so I don't foresee us auctioning off everything for someone. I could be wrong, but it's just not how this organization is operated. In saying that, I think anytime the opportunity presents itself, you always have to lift up the curtain and take a peek if you want to be an organization that competes at the highest level, which we are. So, yeah, you're always going to take a peek and see what's out there and listen. But does that ultimately happen? I don't know. But what I will say is Mike's done such an incredible job that if we did want to do that, we're set up for it. And so ultimately all you want to do is give yourself a chance, whether that's a chance in free agency, whether that's a chance in trade talks, whether that's a chance at a championship. Ultimately in this league, you just want to give yourself a chance. And I think with the great work that our front office has done, our ownership group has done, we're in a position where we could do that if that's something that they saw fit and wanted to do. And that's ultimately what you want, In life, we want freedom. You want financial freedom. You want cap freedom, As far as basketball go, you want cap freedom. In life, we want financial freedom. We want, So our organization has done a great job of that, and we're in a position where if that's what they see fit and want to do, we can do that. And I think that's the best position to be in.
Last two, Ann and Anthony. Draymond, you said that you were going to follow Steph and Jimmy to a championship. Looking at the postseason landscape right now, if Steph had been healthy, do you still think that you guys could have done that?
I wholeheartedly believe Steph was healthy. We could have done that. But I once won a championship where Kyrie Irving got hurt in the NBA Finals and Kevin Love got hurt in the NBA Finals. Do I think we still would have won if they didn't get hurt? I do believe so, but we'll never know. That's just the nature of the sport that we play. Injuries are a part of it, and they're unfortunate. So you can't take the good and be like, oh, man, we won a championship, and it don't matter that somebody was hurt. On the flip side, can't sit here and be like, we would have won had Steph not got hurt. No, you've been on the other side of that. So respect it when it don't go your way. One thing I hate is a front runner. Oh, man, we won our championships because we were that good, which we were. But Kyrie Irving got hurt. Kevin Love got hurt. Robert Williams got hurt. That is the nature of the sport we play. So unfortunately this time, luck wasn't on our side and Steph Curry got hurt. But we've dealt with it before. Kevin Durant got hurt. Klay Thompson got hurt, So you start to take a peek. It happens every year somewhere. It may not be here. It may be another team. But when it ain't on your side, you can't be the guys that go up there and be like, man, we would have won if. Yeah, in a perfect world, probably. But the world ain't perfect. It's far from it. And so take the good with the bad. the Minnesota Timberwolves ended our season. They beat us regardless of who we had on the floor. We were a playoff team, and they moving on. That's just, it sucks for Steph that he wasn't able to be out there because you work so hard for those moments to be in that situation. And so I feel for him. But under no circumstance will I be like, oh, man, they lucky Steph. Nah, they won. And move on. We try to get better this offseason and try to do it again next year.
What is your kind of big picture view on Kuminga and his 4 years here, and the talent that he is, the fit that has kind of been a roller coaster, just and his future, and if it's here?
His future is bright. Whether it's here or whether it's somewhere else, his future is bright. That type of talent usually figures it out. And I think he will figure it out. Like I said, I don't know where that will be. But wherever it'll be, I think he'll be just fine. When I look at his 4 years, I think he's grown a ton. The player he was coming in here 4 years ago and the player that he is today, he made a couple plays in that game defensively yesterday. And I pulled him to the side. I said, now you playing. Because you're making reads defensively. I think maybe Nickeil Alexander-Walker had screen for Ant-Man and got the switch on. Maybe Buddy. Could have been BP. I don't really remember who it was that switched on to him. JK starts diving down the paint with his man. Most guys in that situation go run with the man, leave that guy on the island, and then hope that the next guy go help. And he stopped. He ran with him. He saw that he wasn't looking, stopped at the free throw line, and went back and double-teamed that. That's a play he wouldn't have made 3 months ago. And to most people, that's a very small play, but that is how you stop problems on the defensive end before they happen. So to see him taking those steps, I think that's more special than the offensive steps he's taking, because you're really starting to read the game now. And so I think same thing I've always believed. His future is extremely bright. In this business that we're in, there's no way to be certain that that'll be here or somewhere else. But the beautiful thing about it is when you're a talent like that, people usually find a way to make it work. So whether that's the Warriors finding a way to make it work or another team finding a way to make it work, he has my utmost love and support because I want to see him do well. And in an ideal world, that'll be here. But this game we play and this sport we're in and this business we're in, it ain't always ideal. So see what happens. But definitely wishing him the best of luck with his free agency because we've all been there before. It's a very stressful place. But it's the nature of the business. So I think he's taking tremendous strides, and I think he'll continue to grow.